Hey, mahal everyone, welcome back again to the Broadway Saiyan YouTube channel. I am your host 40 and we are back with another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, focusing again on the global version of Opera Omnia. In today's video, I'm bringing you guys part 8 of my video series, Weapon Passives 15 CP versus 35 CP. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into part 8 of this video series. So again, friendly reminders when watching this series. It's designed to help newer players as well as free-to-play players understand which weapon passive can best help a character function in the event that you don't have both weapons on that character. It also helps you understand which weapon passive would be more ideal if you're on a budget build, as newer players and free-to-play players won't have every single weapon released in their inventory. It's not going to be covering the World of Illusions weapons, which are those 15 CP weapons such as Cloud's Crimson Edge or Bartz's Noir Caliber, because they don't directly impact the character abilities and they're generally pretty situational. And this is also not going to cover EX weapons, as that will be saved for another series and we don't quite have them yet in global. So the first character for part 8 is going to be Waka. Let's go ahead and cover his abilities. Dark Attack is a one-hit range brave attack that inflicts blind for 1 turn. The damage output on that is 40%. His second ability is called Great Daring, so this is going to be raising his own brave by times 1.2 of whatever his current brave is. It also has a 33% chance to grant him 1 to 3 of the following self buffs, which is either 50% attack up, 50% defense up, or medium speed up for 4 turns. So he can either get 1 of these, or get all 3 of these, or get 2 of these. His 15 CP all-rounder passive is going to be increasing his Dark Attack's damage output, as well as lowering the action delay. So now Dark Attack has a damage output of 60%. His 35 CP double penalty passive is going to give him an additional usage for Great Daring, as well as lowering the action delay. The brave that he's going to be granting himself is going to be now based on first 100% of his attack, and then he's going to get a second one, which is going to be giving him times 2 of his current brave. So he gets 2 brave heals essentially, and now the buffs that he gets is going to be 90% to grant him 1 to 4 of the following buffs, and it's going to be increasing the duration to 6 turns. So he has a chance to get 120% attack up, 100% defense up, large speed up, and 100% max brave up for 6 turns. So he has a 90% chance to get either 1 or up to 4 of these buffs. So highly likely that he's going to be getting all 4, since now it's at 90%. So what's my verdict on which passive is the best for Waka on a budget build? So the verdict is being able to blind can really help in a pinch. However, the 35 CP really amps up his DPS. With 90% chance, again, like I said, it's very likely that Waka is going to get all 4 buffs off when he uses that Great Daring, provided that you have his double penalty passive. Now, I do realize that his double penalty is still not yet out for global, but it's gonna be out soon, so we'll be seeing this 35 CP weapon soon. The next character for part 8 is gonna be Galuf. So Galuf has an ability called Cover, which also turns into Cover Plus with the Final Fantasy V Mastery System. So this gives him a 20% attack up to himself and also an ally for 3 turns. It changes to Cover Plus after he uses Cover once, and Cover Plus grants the cover status to all allies this time, and Cover Plus also grants Galuf a 20% attack up to himself now for 5 turns. And as we know, what Cover does is whenever an ally is about to take damage, Galuf jumps in and takes that damage for them. His second ability is called Blade Block, and it also changes into Blade Block Plus with that mastery system. This grants him a large physical evasion up, as well as a 30% defense up for 2 turns, and it has a high action delay. It changes to Blade Block Plus after 1 use, so Blade Block Plus grants him a large physical evasion, as well as that 30% defense up now for 5 turns. He also this time counters any evaded brave attack with a brave attack of his own. The Blade Block Plus damage output for that brave attack counter is at 200%. Now his 15 CP Flame Tongue passive allows Cover to now grant him Brave to himself by 50% of his initial Brave, and the Cover Plus now grants him Brave to himself based on 100% of his initial Brave. So now he grants himself Brave when using Cover when you have the 15 CP passive. Now his 35 CP Defender passive gives him an additional usage for his Blade Block and Blade Block Plus, and it also changes his Brave Attack to Brave Attack Plus after you use Blade Block. So Blade Block now grants him large physical evasion, and this time 50% defense up for 4 turns. He also gives himself a 60% max brave up to himself for 6 turns now. When it's the Blade Block Plus version, that he's going to be granting himself an extra large physical evasion, as well as a 50% defense up for 7 turns, along with that 60% max brave up for 6 turns. The brave attack counter damage output is now also going to be increased to 220% on Blade Block Plus. So what is my verdict on these two passives? So both weapons I feel like are equally as important for him to function as a physical evasion and counter tank. And the reason I say this is because that 15 CP allows it so that he actually covers the ally with that cover status. So for me, even with the 15 CP alone, I feel like he can do very well against enemies, especially relying on physical attack. So with the 15 CP alone, you would definitely rely on the cover more, and you still at least get that blade block plus large physical evasion. But if you only have the 35 CP, you would rely on that ability more, with cover being there as a backup. So either weapon I feel like is equally as important. I don't feel like either passive actually surpasses the other, despite the fact that his 35 CP does provide him all those pretty good stat boosts. I still feel like both weapons are equally as important. Now, the next character is going to be Shantotto, which is my favorite character in this game. So she has two abilities, Spirit Magic Arrow and then Play Rough Arrow. So to reach her Play Rough Arrow, she needs to either take an HP attack, which she gets the Play Rough status, which lasts for 3 turns, or she needs to be at HP 50% or below. So Spirit Magic Arrow is a 3-hit win Brave Magic attack, and then Play Rough Arrow is a 5-hit win Brave Magic attack. Both versions will be granting her a 40% max Brave up for 5 turns. The damage output on Spirit Magic Arrow is 35% times 3 for a total of 105%, and then for Play Rough Arrow it's going to be at 32% times 5 for a total of 160%. Her ability 2, Dark Magic Bio, and then Play Rough Bio is a 1-hit Dark Magic Brave attack for both versions. Both of these have a medium chance to inflict poison, and the poison is based on 20% of initial Brave for 3 turns. The damage output for Dark Magic Bio is 130%, with Play Rough Bio being at 200%. So her 15 CP Rune Staff passive is going to be essentially increasing the damage output for both Spirit Magic Arrow and Play Rough Arrow. So now it's going to be 135% total for Spirit Magic Arrow and 200% for Play Rough Arrow. Her 35 CP Colostrum passive is going to be increasing Dark Magic Bio and Play Rough Bio's damage output, and this time it's going to be lowering the action delay on this ability. This time both abilities have a 100% guaranteed chance to inflict poison. Again, it's going to be based on 20% of initial Brave, and that poison is now going to be at 6 turns for both versions. She's also going to be giving herself a 25% attack up for 5 turns. So the damage output on Dark Magic Bio now with this passive is 180%, with the Play Rough version being at 220%. So my verdict on these two passives are, both are great to improve her DPS. But between the two, she definitely benefits more from her 35 CP, especially because it has a debuff on it, and also it increases her damage output with that 25% attack up. And Shantotto is a Brave shaver, so she is going to be shaving that Brave, so you want to make sure she has as much attack as possible. Final character for part A is going to be Balthier. So his two abilities, first one being Snatch Shot. It's a 1-hit range Brave attack with a medium chance to steal 1 buff from the target, with a damage output being at 130%. His second ability is Great Aim. So when he uses this, he grants himself Brave by times 1.3 of whatever his current Brave is before he deals straight up HP damage, and just like Snatch Shot, has a medium chance to steal 1 buff from the target. Now his 15 CP Aldebaran passive increases Snatch Shot's damage output, as well as increasing the chance to steal buffs and extending the duration of whatever stolen buffs he steals. And the damage output is 200% for this. His 35 CP Capella passive now increases the Brave gain to times 1.4 of whatever his current Brave is. This time he also dispels 3 debuffs on himself, and he also increases the chance to steal buffs with this ability, and he can now steal up to 3 buffs, and he also gets that extended duration of the stolen buffs. So my verdict on these two passives are, so I feel like his 15 CP slightly edges out, and hear me out on this, it's because due to the fact that it increases his actual DPS, meaning that he deals that 200% damage output with the Brave attack, which it's still important to Brave shave the enemy, because yes, it's nice to deal straight up HP damage because you bypass a weakness, but still lowering the enemy's Brave I feel like is still very important, so then that way you're not eating a huge amount of HP damage. But I do feel like his 35 CP alone is still useful for utility as far as being a buff stealer. Alright guys, well that is going to be part 8 for my weapon passes 15 CP versus 35 CP. Again, if you guys enjoy these videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as turning on the notification bell. That way you guys are notified of new videos that I release on my channel. I am 40 the Broadway saying stay tuned for the next video, and mahal everyone.